In the summer of 1971, a revolutionary experiment took place in the basement of Stanford University's psychology department. The Stanford prison experiment, as it came to be known, was the brainchild of Dr. Philip Zimbardo. Zimbardo wanted to study the psychological effects of power dynamics and the impact of situational factors on human behavior. He aimed to create a simulated prison environment to examine the interaction between perceived power and individual behavior. The experiment's setup was simple yet impactful. A group of 24 male college students, deemed psychologically healthy and stable, were randomly assigned roles as either guards or prisoners. The basement of Jordan Hall was transformed into a makeshift prison, complete with cells, a solitary confinement room, and a designated space for guards. This controlled environment was crucial to the experiment's design. The researchers aimed to observe how the participants would adapt to their assigned roles over time. Would their behavior change in response to the perceived power structure? This question was at the heart of the experiment's objectives. The Stanford prison experiment, from its inception, promised to provide valuable insights into the complexities of human behavior. The methodology of the Stanford prison experiment was designed to simulate, as realistically as possible, the experience of being in a prison environment. The researchers took great care to make the experience immersive and impactful for the participants. Upon arrival, the prisoners were subjected to a mock arrest by real police officers, fingerprinted, blindfolded, and stripped of their identities. They were issued uniforms, given numbers to replace their names, and placed in cells designed to evoke feelings of confinement and lack of privacy. The guards, on the other hand, were given uniforms that conveyed authority, including reflective sunglasses to prevent eye contact with the prisoners, whistles, and batons. They were instructed to maintain order and discipline within the prison, but were given minimal guidelines on how to achieve this. This lack of specific instructions was intentional, allowing the researchers to observe how the guards would navigate their roles and wield their newfound power. The researchers employed a variety of data collection methods throughout the experiment. They videotaped and audio recorded interactions between guards and prisoners, conducted regular psychological assessments and interviews, and kept detailed observational logs. This multifaceted approach was intended to capture both the overt behavioral changes and the more subtle psychological shifts occurring in the participants. The experiment was originally slated to run for 2 weeks. However, the intensity of the situation escalated rapidly, forcing the researchers to make a difficult decision. Ethical concerns about the psychological well-being of the participants led to the experiment's premature termination after only 6 days. The Stanford prison experiment involved 24 male college students who responded to a newspaper ad seeking volunteers for a psychological study of prison life. These participants were carefully selected from a larger pool of applicants through a series of psychological tests and interviews designed to ensure their mental stability and suitability for the study. The goal was to recruit individuals who were deemed normal and well-adjusted, making the subsequent behavioral changes observed even more striking. Among the participants, 2 figures emerged as central to the experiment's unfolding drama: Philip Zimbardo, the lead researcher, and a student volunteer who came to be known as Prisoner 416. Zimbardo, as the architect of the experiment, played a multifaceted role. He not only designed and oversaw the study, but also actively participated as the prison superintendent. This dual role, while intended to provide an insider's perspective, later became a point of contention, with critics arguing that it blurred the lines between objective observation and personal involvement. Prisoner 416 emerged as a symbol of resistance against the guards' escalating authority. He staged a hunger strike, refusing to eat, in protest of the inhumane conditions and treatment of the prisoners. His act of defiance, while ultimately unsuccessful in changing the course of the experiment, highlighted the psychological toll of the simulated prison environment and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of oppression. Section 4. The transformation guards become enforcers, prisoners become submissive. What transpired over the next 6 days shocked even the researchers. The participants, initially indistinguishable in their normalcy, rapidly adapted to their assigned roles, exhibiting behavioral patterns that mirrored those observed in real-life prison settings. The guards, emboldened by their newfound authority, became increasingly authoritarian and abusive. They enforced strict rules, subjected prisoners to humiliating punishments, and employed psychological tactics to assert their dominance and control. The prisoners, stripped of their identities and subjected to constant surveillance and degradation, gradually succumbed to a state of learned helplessness. They became passive, withdrawn, and emotionally distressed. Many exhibited signs of severe stress, anxiety, and depression. The experiment revealed the alarming ease with which individuals can internalize roles of power and oppression, highlighting the profound influence of situational factors on human behavior. One particularly disturbing incident involved the guards forcing the prisoners to engage in simulated sexual acts, a testament to the depths of depravity that can emerge in the absence of external constraints. This act, along with other instances of physical and psychological abuse, forced the researchers to confront the ethical implications of their experiment. The guards' behavior, while shocking, was not entirely surprising to the researchers. Zimbardo and his team had hypothesized that the simulated prison environment would elicit such reactions. However, the speed and intensity of the transformation, from ordinary college students into cruel and authoritarian figures, were deeply unsettling. Section 5. The unraveling ethical concerns force an abrupt end. As the situation within the simulated prison deteriorated, ethical concerns began to mount. Christina Maslach, a graduate student and Zimbardo's then-girlfriend, visited the experiment and was appalled by what she witnessed. Her horrified reaction to the conditions and the participants' behavior served as a crucial wake-up call for Zimbardo, who had become increasingly caught up in his role as the prison superintendent. Maslach's intervention forced Zimbardo and his team to confront the ethical implications of their experiment. They realized that the simulated environment had created a dangerous situation, both for the participants and for the researchers themselves. The lines between research and reality had become dangerously blurred, and the well-being of the participants was at stake. Faced with these ethical dilemmas, Zimbardo made the difficult decision to terminate the experiment prematurely. After only 6 days, the decision to end the study was not made lightly. The researchers recognized that they had a responsibility to protect the participants from further harm, even if it meant cutting short their research. The abrupt end of the Stanford prison experiment marked the beginning of a long and contentious debate about the ethics of psychological research. It raised fundamental questions about the limits of scientific inquiry, the responsibility of researchers to their subjects, and the potential for psychological harm in experimental settings. Section 6. The Aftermath, a Legacy of Ethical Debate. The Stanford prison experiment, despite its short duration, has had a lasting impact on the field of psychology and beyond. It has been the subject of countless books, articles, documentaries, and even a feature film, sparking ongoing debates about the nature of power, authority, and human behavior. It has also had a profound impact on ethical guidelines for research, leading to stricter regulations and oversight to prevent similar situations from occurring in the future. One of the most significant contributions of the Stanford prison experiment is its illumination of the Lucifer effect. This term, coined by Zimbardo himself, refers to the transformation of ordinary, even good people into perpetrators of evil acts under the influence of situational factors. The experiment demonstrated that evil is not always the result of inherent wickedness, but can be a product of social context, systems of power, and group dynamics. The Stanford prison experiment also highlighted the dangers of de-individuation, the loss of self-awareness and personal identity that can occur in group settings. When individuals feel anonymous and unaccountable for their actions, they are more likely to engage in behaviors they would never consider on their own. This phenomenon is particularly relevant in understanding atrocities committed in war war, acts of mob violence, and other situations where individuals act with reduced personal responsibility. Section 7. Enduring Lessons. The experiment's relevance in today's world. The Stanford prison experiment, though conducted over 5 decades ago, remains eerily relevant today. Its findings on the corrupting nature of power, the ease with which individuals conform to social roles, and the potential for situational factors to override moral compass continue to resonate in various aspects of modern society. From Abu Ghraib to corporate scandals, from online bullying to political polarization, the experiment serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of human nature and the ever-present potential for abuse of power. The experiment's insights are particularly relevant in understanding the dynamics of authority and obedience. The guards' willingness to inflict suffering on the prisoners, often with minimal prompting from the researchers, highlights the dangers of blind obedience to authority figures. This blind obedience, coupled with a diffusion of responsibility, can create a toxic environment where individuals feel absolved of personal accountability for their actions. The Stanford prison experiment also has implications for criminal justice reform. It underscores the need for humane treatment of prisoners and the importance of addressing systemic issues that contribute to violence and abuse within correctional facilities. The experiment serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that prisons are not simply places to warehouse individuals, but should be designed to rehabilitate and reintegrate offenders back into society. The Stanford prison experiment continues to spark debate and discussion, challenging us to examine our own capacity for both good and evil. By understanding the factors that contribute to human behavior in extreme situations, we can work towards creating a more just and humane society for all.